Good morning. It's November 11th. This is to my liberal friends. Well, happy Veterans Day. And as a fellow veteran, thank all of those who gave service to this country. It's our day to celebrate. Well, if you watch this podcast, you know that I'm a BYU graduate and a fan. And this Saturday, BYU defeated their arch rival, Utah, in the Holy War on a last-second field goal. The Utah athletic director then went on the field and berated the officials for a holding call they'd made on the Utah defense. He then went to a press conference and accused the officials of cheating and said Utah did not want to be in the Big 12. What a sore loser, and it reminded me of the Democrats. The post-mortem of the election's in full swing, and Democrats are pointing at each other. Bernie Sanders and Nancy Pelosi have been going back and forth about whether Democrats have abandoned the working-class voters. Others are blaming Biden for not dropping out early, many saying he should never have sought a second term at his age. Over in the media, they're blaming the voters for not being smart enough to vote for Harris. Some have called them misogynist, and others have called them racist for not voting for a black woman. Some have questioned the intelligence of the voters. And a few have questioned the Harris campaign strategy. She had a record $1 billion in her war chest, more than double what Trump had. But all the money in the world will not win an election if you don't have a message to connect to the voters. And I can tell you why the Democrats lost. The Monday before the election, I pointed out why Trump would win and Harris would lose. The Democrats never had a clear message of why someone should vote for Harris. They campaigned against Trump. They called him a fascist. They likened him to Hitler. They said he was a threat to democracy. And they've been doing this for almost 10 years. They did it in his campaign in 2016, and he did it while he was president, and he repeated it throughout the campaign this time around. I kept waiting for the Russian collusion talking point to reappear. They hinted that Trump was pals with Putin. I call it Trump derangement syndrome, TDS. And it was all the Democrats preached. In the end, the voters had heard all of this for years. They were not buying it. Pouring into their psychic energies into Trump, Democrats took their eyes off the American people for the past 4 years. What a high price they're paying for it now. In the election's final weeks, virtually all the opinion polls showed Mr. Trump and Kamala Harris in a statistical tie in the 7 swing states. It was an admittedly striking result, and the question became, are the polls missing something? Indeed they did. They missed the public's loss of belief that the Democratic Party represents its interests. Trump was talking to the people, the blue-collar workers in the Rust Belt, and they were listening. Democrats were telling these non-college voters that they should be paying for the student loans of the kids that laughed at them in high school. Democrats were telling them they had to let biological males compete against their young girls. Harris told them that Biden was sharp as a tack and on top of everything. Don't believe your eyes, believe what we tell you. Harris and Democrats said the economy was fine, but these voters have been to the grocery store and the gas station. The clincher, in my opinion, was when Harris went on The View for another laugh and giggle interview, and when asked if she would do anything different than Biden, she said, quote, "Nothing comes to mind," end quote. Ms. Harris focused her campaign on celebrities. People like Oprah, J-Lo, Cardi B, and Beyonce appeared with her. And I have to assume her campaign felt endorsements from these entertainers would benefit their campaign. And then there's reports leaking out this week that these celebrities were paid to attend these rallies, some hinting that Oprah was paid up to $1 million. I guess there should have been a disclaimer stating these are paid actors doing an endorsement. But the bitterness did not stop there. The Harris supporters have decided to up their game and over the weekend made 2 stunning and preposterous suggestions. The first was that Joe Biden should immediately resign and allow Kamala Harris to become the president for the next 2 months. Now, I'm not sure Joe Biden's going to agree with them, but how arrogant they must be to even make the suggestion. That ludicrous idea was followed up with one that a lot of Democrats are talking about. They're urging Justice Sotomayer to resign from the court so that Biden could appoint a successor. Justice Sotomayer suffers from diabetes, but other than that appears to be in good health. But Democrats are remembering Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who they urged to resign only to have her pass away while Trump was president. But the Harris supporters are suggesting that Sotomayer resign and Biden appoint Kamala Harris to the court. Wow, this is a woman that failed the bar exam her first time. She has no judicial experience, and being honest, there's not a real assurance that she has the votes in the Senate to be confirmed. And that's ignoring that it normally takes a couple of months to go through the confirmation process. This is the left plucking at straws as they refuse to acknowledge that the American public is tired of their left-wing policies. They will continue to berate the voters and tell them how stupid they are. And if you don't believe me, just read some of the opinion columns in the Washington Post, the New York Times, or MSNBC, and other left-leaning media outlets. And just like the Utah athletic director could not accept that his team lost, These liberals refuse to see that the country's not moving left, but has always been center-right. This has been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening. If you enjoy the podcast, hit the subscribe button on YouTube or follow me on TikTok. Thanks for listening again.